I'm just getting ready here because when I made the cell builder, I put a notice out to my bee association, which has close to 150 members, offering them a pop-up queen grafting workshop. And I was clear, this is not a organized event. This is not a well-scripted event. All this is if you're interested in coming to my apiary and watching me graft a few frames or a few bars of queens, then you're welcome. So they should be showing up here within the hour. I don't think there's going to be very many. There was only 3 who responded. So it'll be a good time. Lexi will be back to see the graft, and I'm going to get her in particular to do a graft so that if she gets some takes, then she can say that she grafted her own queens and made her own bees. So that's what's going on. Okay, so the whole idea here is to raise some queens. There's many different ways you can go about that, but the principles are all exactly the same. And the principles are essentially you need to use extremely young larvae that is 24 hours old. I think people say up to 36 hours, as young as possible. So if you know your life cycle, you know that the egg is laid, and then on the 3rd day it hatches. So within a few hours, within 24 hours or so of that time, when that larva is so young, that's the one you want to use.
Is there a way you can identify that?
Pardon me?
How do you identify?
How do you identify? Yeah, that's easy. If you can't see it, it's perfect.
You have a magnifying glass?
Yeah. So indications are you can see eggs. Generally, if you see the brood chamber, you see the brood nest, you'll see sealed brood, older larvae, younger larvae, and eggs. So at the transition period between the eggs and the younger larva is where you're looking, right? You'll see where the eggs disappear, but the young larva will appear. There's just a smattering of young larvae there. And the indication, even when you can't see it, is if you can see a dot of royal jelly in the cell, there's a larva there, because they don't feed eggs. There's no royal jelly if it's an egg. So if you see royal jelly, even though you may not be able to see the larva, it's there. And also, as a larva ages, it'll go from a mostly straight grub, and it starts to curl as it ages, and it curls up like that. So you want to get one that's kind of like a comma, right? You want to get one that just has a little bit of curve to it, and that's perfect. So that's the principle. And the next principle is you need lots of resources and able to raise that queen. And the resources you need are lots of good nutrition, and you need something to feed the larva. And what's feeding the larva are these bees, these young bees that are in here, the very young nurse bees. So we want to make sure they have good nutrition, and the nutrition is in the form of pollen and nectar. So fortunately right now we have a pretty good dandelion crop. You can see quite a few bees coming in with pollen, and they'll be gathering nectar from that as well. The nectar I think is fine. Kind of nectar is nectar almost. It's carbohydrates. Pollen is a very complex combination of different chemicals, different sterols and proteins and stuff. And unfortunately, dandelion pollen isn't very complete. It's not very nutritious. It's not nutritionally complete for the bees. So what we do is I have some supplement here. This is some that was partially eaten. So I'm going to add this supplement to the builder as we go, as a help. Now it's something that people made up, so it's also not perfect, but it's all I have. And I also have some sugar syrup here that I'll feed them as well. So that's the other thing you need for raising bees, or raising queens. But those things, no matter what method you use, I'm using a queenless cell starter to make my queens, but there's a lot of different methods. But those principles are the same, no matter what method you use. Okay, and after we do our graft, and I'll show you that here in a little while, and we get our larvae in here ready for the bees to make queens out of them, then it's all about timing. It's all about the calendar, writing things on your calendar, making sure you don't miss that day, that thing that you're supposed to do that day, and there's a whole list of things. So the next item is that the cells will be drawn out, and then they'll be capped, and on a particular day you can take those cells out and you can put them in your mating nukes. You can put them in your incubator, which is what I do, and then you make, do whatever you want with your queens. You can make nukes, you can requeen colonies, you can do so many different things with those queens. So it's all about timing. But those are virgin queens, so now they need to take perhaps 2 weeks. I've seen them mate in days. I've done the math on, I'll check a colony that I put a queen in a week ago, and I check the colony, and there's 5-day-old larvae in that colony. And I think, wow, she made it in 2 days, right? Usually that's in July, because July is the month of abundance, right? We've got everything going for us in July, except the days are getting shorter. That's the one thing we don't have going for us. So that's kind of just the overview of kind of raising queens. And again, Sean and I were talking about another method. Laura, she's really good at raising queens, and part of what you'll use to decide what method to use is how many queens do you want to raise. I want to raise more than 100, right? And I'm stretching my resources because I don't have an abundance of resources here. My apiary is not doing very well, so I'm taking everything I can out of it to make a builder that's strong enough to raise 100 queens. I think I'm pushing that, but I'm going to try my best. If you want to raise 5, then you don't need as many resources, right? You can raise queens with 1, right? The idea that you need hundreds of colonies to raise queens is nonsense. If you have 1 colony, that colony will make queens. So what Laura does, and I think I have it right, is she'll take a nice strong colony in her apiary. She'll just take a really nice strong colony, and she'll go in there and take the queen out, take the frame with the queen, and she'll get a little box, maybe not unlike this little box. This holds 4 frames. She'll put that in there, fill it up with frames, and set that aside, put a lid on it. And so that queen is in there. She's going to continue laying. So she's going to just sit there. She'll sit there happily. She'll keep laying. So there's no interruption in the development of the colony. So now she's made that colony queenless. And so now she can go ahead and graft into that colony as a queenless cell starter. And once she's done with that, and she's got the queen cells she wants, she can move that queen back here to the colony that she had, along with anything that she'd laid up, because it could be week 10 days or however long. I don't know exactly her timing to move that back into here. And she hasn't interrupted this colony at all. Okay. Now, that's a lower production expectation than this, because that cell starter is not as strong. This one's very strong, and you'll see here in a minute. So what I did was I went on Thursday And I went throughout my apiary. I found all of the brood and bees that I could find, and I packed them into this box. So this is right full of sealed brood and right full of young bees. So I've compromised those colonies. Those colonies are,
How many colonies did you?
I think I went through 5 or 6, maybe. No, I didn't take brood from them all, but I took bees from them all, right? So I took 8 frames of brood, 1 frame of pollen, and I think there's pollen and brood on that frame. And then the 10th frame will be my graft frame, which you'll see here in a minute.
How do you know their age? How do you?
Oh, that's a good question. How do I know they're young bees? That's because there's a behavior that I can use to take all of the old bees out of this box and put them back in the hive that I took them from with 0 work at all. If you know your life cycle, remember I keep talking about life cycle? Yeah. You know your life cycle when the bees emerge, but then you know you have to think about the life of the bee after that for the next month of their life. At a point, it's about 3 weeks. So they'll spend about 3 weeks in the hive, doing the hive jobs, cleaning, garbage collection, feeding babies, things like that. Then about 3 weeks, they graduate to forager and they go out and get nectar, pollen, water, propolis, things like that. So bees have a memory that I've noticed is about 30 hours or so. And so when they fly, you see these bees flying, these are older bees that you see flying. And when I take bees from a hive over there and I put them in here, if they are older bees and they've been flying, they'll come out of this hive and they'll go back there. So only the young bees that aren't flying stay. And that's what I want. Because when I open the lid and I see visually how many bees are in here, there's a lot. I wish there were more, but there are a lot. Then I can see. If I open the lid and I say, well, there's not very many bees, I need to go get more, right? Because if half of the bees in here are old bees, that's not what I want. I want them all to be young bees. Obviously, they're not all very young bees because they're flying.
Well, is there any reason why you put this?
Yes, there is. Because again, this is a queenless cell starter, okay? And if there's a virgin queen flying in the area, she can sense if there's a queenless hive somewhere, and she may go in and make that her home. I don't want that because she'll destroy all my work. So this should help keep her out. I don't know, guarantee it'll keep out a virgin, but it should at least slow her down. So that's why I put the queen excluder over the entrance. Just for your comfort, I'll open it before I put my veil on. Do you notice how I open this?
Yeah.
I don't flip it up like that.
Okay.
So they don't suddenly see my face first thing.
Oh.
They get accustomed to the lid being gone before I ever appear.
Good practice.
Bees everywhere. And I may get stung. I'm not trying to be a tough guy. So you can see there's 9 frames here. I've set this one a bit separately because this one has my pollen on it. Okay. I have to go through here because there's one thing that you know when you make a colony queenless, what's the first thing they want to do? They want to make a queen. I don't want them to make a queen. I don't want a queen started in there. It's going to emerge and then tear down my cells. So I need to shake the bees off every frame and check for queen cells. And there's no way I'm doing that without a veil. So I'm going to put my veil on and then I'll do that. Okay. Now this is going to get crazy because I'm going to shake all these bees off. I'll show you this frame first because I have to check it anyway. So this is, yeah, look at how many bees are here. There's just polluted with bees. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So there's no queen in here. Okay, so these are queen cups. There's nothing in them. You know, should check. If there's jelly in these cups, then, you know, you need to get rid of that. This is why I have this frame. This is the baby food. This is pollen in this frame. This is actually bee bread. It's been mixed with some nectar already.
So does this mean that they're about to start?
Well, these aren't, because these are just cups. There's nothing in them. This was not a brood frame per se.
So why make the cups if there's no
They kind of just do that, and I think this is my own theory. They do that in the off chance that they want to supersede, that they want to replace the queen, because a cup is a cup, and they'll make the queen lay into the cup. It's not an emergency response. You may see some emergency cells here in a minute. Okay, so here's some emergency cells. Okay.
This one's starting.
So now you can see, there's lots of them. You can see that the cell originated from in the comb. The cell isn't constructed on the outside of the comb like those cups were, right? So, I mean, you can, with these, here, I'll show you. See the jelly? And the larva.
Oh, so this is a queen.
So they're making a queen out of that.
Oh.
I'm not going to let them. So, anybody want to taste royal jelly? People eat it all the time. Now's the time if you want it, because I'm going to do this.
Smash that. Okay, so that's spicy.
Yeah, I mean, you want to do it with your hive tool. You just ruin their plans, is what you do, right?
So that was a queen?
That was what they were doing, yeah. They're making a queen. Oh, sorry, I trapped her in there. Not anymore. And you really need to shake the bees off.
I thought you needed to remove it completely.
Yeah, you just mash it. Sometimes there's nothing young enough on the frame. This has got some nice pollen on it. I should put it next to the graft. So there's one there. Quite often they'll be on the outside because it's where the younger larvae are. Let's save that there. Interesting. Very young larvae here, but they're not making queens out of it. Can you see just the dots of jelly in there? Right? You can't see the larvae, but they're there. If there's jelly, there's larvae.
Okay, jelly white. This what?
Yeah, well, liquid. Yeah. But the principle is they don't feed eggs. So if there's jelly, there's larvae. There's one here. There. You smash it. You do your thing. Just mash it down. Yep, that's the stuff.
So you kind of afford to. I think there's one more.
Yeah, that's more of a cup, but we'll get rid of that anyway. See what I mean around the outside? A lot of times on the outside. Okay, so we've got that side. This one's heavy.
Which day did you put them together?
2 days ago.
And they started having all these crops within 2
They
days.
start within hours. They'll start that. Now, but do you see this though? This cell is not from within the comb. This is a cup. There's nothing in it
Oh,
because that's not an emergency cell.
I can't differentiate
Yeah,
inside the.
but you can, and that's why I want you to see the difference. That these are cups. These cells sit on top of the comb, and the cells that we're looking at, the larva came from inside, so that the cup is more embedded in the comb.
Yeah.
See, these have nothing in them because, see, that one does.
Is that real jellyfish?
Yeah.
Those are white stuff.
See, these are on top. So those were cups that were there before. I'm just going to take this wax off. So it'll cause me problems. So that's the difference when you're looking at a cell and you're asking yourself, is that an emergency cell or is that a supersedure cell? Is that a response to the queen dying, or is that the bees deciding the queen needs to be replaced?
Okay, so if the queen dies,
Yeah.
that's an emergency.
Emergency, yeah. See, this is a supersedure. This is just a cup, and there's nothing in it. And a cup with nothing in it is nothing. Don't worry about it at all. I always like to look at them. You don't need to tear them down. It's more of a habit. Because I want to look at it anyway, and usually I'll tear it down looking at it. There's a lot of young larvae here.
This one poking out.
Those are drone cells. They have the domed. Yeah. Well, more cups, see? They're just getting ready. So again, that's a cup. So there's nothing in that. Same with these. They're just cups. Yep. More cups. So there's no more emergency cells here. I want to clean that a little bit more. I want my cell starter to be kind of nice and clean and easy to handle because I don't want a lot of drama. I don't want things causing distress to the bees. I want them to be very calm and focused on their job. Like doing this right now, this is pretty invasive, but I have to do it. So there's nothing there. There's some, so you can see this one. This one was built on top. See, there's nothing in it. This one was built from inside the comb, and there's a larvae in that. So now you can see the difference, right? Okay. Is there one there? Yeah, a little cup there.
No, not yet.
So what Lexi is doing, she doesn't have bees yet, and I made her a deal. She's got to do some work for me because I said, if you come here and you spend the time and you learn how to make a queen, and you make a queen, and then we'll put that together with some bees, and that'll be your bees. So she's got a unique experience. Most hobbyists, new beekeepers, they'll go and buy bees somewhere and say, I'm a beekeeper. Well, Lexi's going to be miles ahead because she's going to be a real beekeeper when she gets her bees. She will have made her bees. Okay, so this has bee bread, like I say, on it. So I'll put that on this side. This has pollen in amongst the brood. So I'll put that on this side.
Okay, so
And then my graft goes in here.
So the graft,
Yeah, I don't like to use a lot of smoke when I'm dealing with this because it just kind of gets in their face, and I want them to be just ready to make queens. And as you see, there's not really a reason to have smoke,
yeah, that's
right? Okay. The next part is grafting, and that's the part I can't teach you very well. You have to try it and you have to work at it to make it happen. So that's an artificial queen cup. So you saw me getting rid of those queen cups over there.
yeah.
That's just what we do. And it's kind of not intuitive that in the old days, the old guys, they used to make these out of beeswax and use those. But the bees actually take to these better than the beeswax cups, which is not what you would guess, is it? So we have these bars. And again, this is not the only way to do this. This is just kind of the accepted standard, the off-the-shelf way. And if you look at these cups, the little knob on the end, really closely, you'll see that they're not round. They're kind of egg-shaped. And that goes along with the hole in the bar. So if you take that and turn that in that bar, you won't need your gloves for a while. So put that in and turn it, and you'll feel the shape of that. Go ahead, Lexi. Just kind of feel the shape of that. You see how it turns easier and then not so easy? Okay, so we want to turn it. You go ahead and try one. We want to turn it where it's binding a little bit, just to make it tighter so it doesn't fall out.
Oh, so it doesn't come out. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you go ahead and fill that whole bar. There, you can
Okay.
help me fill this. You go ahead. We'll actually fill 3 of these.
Wow.
So each of these bars holds 15, and my frame holds 3 bars. So I can do 45. And again, I'll mention that the number of cells you're going to do really has to line up with the number of bees in your hive, in your starter, right? So it has to match. And I think I'm pushing it here with this many. You feel how that's not round? It kind of binds there at a certain point.
Is there a way you can estimate the number of bees that are needed for?
Yeah, you can. You can if you're collecting bees from your apiary, you can weigh them. So you have a certain number of pounds of bees. I know a friend of mine uses about 10 pounds of bees, which is a lot.
For how many?
This is probably, I'm going to estimate that that's 6 or 7 pounds of bees. So it's, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Sorry.
All right. So once we graft these, get the larva in there, then those slide in here. This is flexible a little bit. So that slot is small enough that it holds that bar in there real nice, just like that. So that sits in the hive. This next step is the step when I'm going to get stung, because I need to go and get the frame out of the breeder hive. And what I need to do is I need to get the frame out of the breeder hive, and normally I would just shake the bees off. It's recommended not to shake the bees because you can dislodge the larva, that you need to brush the bees off. And the bees really hate the bee brush. They really, really hate the bee brush. So that's where I usually get stung. So I have to work up the courage now to do that. These are a very popular tool. I can see this one is no good. They're very cheap, and that one's not going to work because it's not together, right? It has to be like that. So that's just called a Chinese grafting tool. Yeah, that one, the end just fell out of it, so it's no good. But I've got a whole bag of them here. So like I say, they're cheap, so you usually go through half a dozen before you find one you like. Because like a lot of Chinese made stuff, there's not very good quality control. See, that one's pretty good because it sits tight together, right? Oh, it's nice and flexible. That probably is going to be a good one.
So you used to pick the larva
Yep.
and cut it on.
Typically you'll take that, and the camera's not going to see this detail, but you'll take that and slide it down in the cup, in the cell, and the tip will bend, and then you'll get the larva, you'll get that tip under the larva and pull that out, and then push the plunger in the cup, and it's not as much of a push the larva off as it is drawing back the quill. You see what I mean? So the plunger isn't really moving, it's the quill that's moving, right? So you're not doing this to push it off, you're drawing back the quill, right? So it's a coordinated move like this and push like this, so that the plunger is not actually moving,
So much, okay.
right? So that's kind of the method I use. And again, I can't teach this very well to you. You have to figure out what works for you best.
So
So
the pushing might hurt the larva.
yeah, you can't flip it over because they breathe on the top. If you flip it over, that they suffocate. Okay, like I say, this is where I usually get stung, because bees hate the bee brush. It's not called a bee brush because the bees like it. So again, I've pilfered this hive a few times actually, so it doesn't look very good. I've been robbing resources. I don't think there's anything up here for me, so I'll go in the bottom. Because I'm an old guy, I need a chair. And I need to take off my sunglasses so I can see the detail in the hive. There are methods to time the queen as far as when she's going to lay in a frame to make it easier for you to find larvae, appropriate larvae, but I haven't done that. So this is kind of just trying to do it with whatever happens to be there. I always like to kind of glance for the queen. If I see her, then I can just keep her safe. Now I'll point this out. We have a couple of drones here. And that's important because the rule is if you don't see walking drones in your hive, then it's too early. You need to wait until you see drones that are walking around, because they need to mature for a certain number of days before they're ready to mate with the queen. Okay? So if you're trying to graft, the 1st of May, and you have no drones walking around, you won't have very good success.
Okay, even though you're not actually particularly interested in this drone, but the drones also.
Yeah, so that's a good point. I'm grafting my queens from this hive, so the drones from this hive really aren't the drones that I need, but the progression of this hive within the context of my apiary will be pretty average for the other ones. And also there's the fact that these drones that you see didn't necessarily come from this hive, because drones end up anywhere. You may find, if you have a few different colonies, you go to a colony and you pick up the drones and you mark them with the paint, and then wait a couple of days and you'll find those drones everywhere. It doesn't matter. The hives, the colonies don't keep the drones out. They just allow them to come in. Yeah. And that's how disease and varroa mites spread, right? On the drones. Workers too, but less so. The drones are very promiscuous in that way. Okay. So this is actually not a bad, there are a few we could probably graft out of that one. I don't see the queen, but
Okay, when you're done with the grafting, you can still return the comb to this place.
absolutely. Yeah, once I graft, then it all comes back here. So we don't really lose much as far as momentum in the colony. It says nice pollen on that one, isn't it? It's beautiful. Lots of pollen.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm in the.
That's okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is very colorful.
And so that's something that you need to watch for in your hive. And this isn't to do with queens, but we talk sometimes about a colony or a hive becoming nectar bound, and that's the kind of thing that'll cause a colony to swarm. But it works that way for pollen as well. If they get too much pollen, then the queen has nowhere to lay, and they can swarm. We'll have to take a few and then come back for another frame, I think. Because, like I say, I don't have a frame that has all just right. So there's going to be a few different frames. I'd like to find the queen so I don't mess with her. She could be in that box, I don't know. There she is right there.
You seen it?
Yeah,
Oh.
big yellow one.
Yep.
So when you have your bees and you're doing your inspections, it doesn't matter why. You don't have to do it just when raising queens. There's a method that I really encourage and I really like. It's called a quiet box. And so she's going to bring me a little box here. And when I see my queen, then I can take this frame and I set it in that box over here. Leave her alone because I don't want to damage that nice queen. She's doing a good job and I need her to keep doing a good job.
She can't fly off.
So you don't, she can fly away. If you start messing with her, she'll start fly away. But if you leave her alone, she's fine. Perfect, thank you. And so I'll just take that frame, queen and all, and we'll just leave her alone. And now there's no queen in here, so I'm not going to damage the queen. I think we're going to try this one. Okay. Yeah, this is where it's not going to be that bad because there's not very many bees on here, but this is where it does get wild. I'm getting ready to run. Get that kind of a brush. They have a different kind that has a plastic handle and a black bristle. This one is, they hate this one less. It also has a handy little wedge on the end for if you don't have your hive tool. And notice the way I'm brushing it. It's short strokes. You can't just do this. That's not going to work. And tilt the frame up a bit. Because the bees really stick to that open comb. They really grab onto that. Okay, so we want to get this away from the hive so the bees don't collect on it. Because they will. Okay, nice sunny day. We can leave this as is. Yeah. So I've got a little cooler here that I've put hot tap water in, just out of the kitchen. And I've got 2 cloths. Most of the water out. Put those right up there in the sun where they stay warm. Now I take my grafting bars. This is a Randy Oliver trick that I learned. This is a little atomizer. It's not just a sprayer, it's an atomizer that makes a very fine mist and distilled water. And just You want to get a little bit of humidity in those cups. You don't want to spray them full of water. Just tiny, tiny droplets. Normally I would do this with the truck closed up, keep the heat in, but for your edification, and this is just a little stand that I made. You can come up close if you want. Well, the camera can't see much anyway. It's made for a table, not for knees. Okay, so I can just put that frame up there. And this part you need to figure out for yourself. There are many different aids to use for magnification. I found that these 6x magnification glasses work pretty good for me. Yeah, well, this is perfect here. I still close one eye because it's hard to, Yep, on that one. This is the boring part for you. There's not much to see. Goes pretty fast, really. So you can kind of see that one because I just got the end of it.
Oh yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, she's hanging off the end.
Yeah.
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 And if you mess up, royal jelly's not going to hurt you at all. Right, Lexi?
Right. I tried some the other day.
Lexi's still alive, so.
It doesn't really taste like anything.
Yeah, just a little bit of it doesn't taste like anything. The drone is not fertilized, but these are all fertilized, so they can be either a worker or a queen, depending on feeding. Yeah. I like to start on the right side of my frame because sometimes, in order to get a better grasp, I'll actually break the cell away and go in this way. So I don't want to break it away over larvae that I might want to choose. A lot of times, people that teach this, they say, turn on some classical music and just calm, You want to get as much jelly as you can. I'm not getting very much jelly.
And the jelly still kind of, does it feed them a little bit?
Yeah, well, that's their food.
Right.
So you don't want them to dry up,
Right.
and you don't want them to go hungry. Okay, that's number 15. That went pretty good. So I just want to put the towel isn't very warm anymore, but I want to just put the damp towel. Just show the people on the video what we did. Okay, so we grafted 3 bars. And so I've set all 3 bars in here. Larvae in those cups. And they will tell us between now and this time tomorrow how we did. They will start drawing those out. If we did well, they'll start drawing them out. So a little bit of pollen patty here, just in case they want it.
So they don't waste their time. They only draw the good ones out.
That's
Remove
right.
the bad ones.
If you're too old, to just ignore it, or they'll cannibalize it and use the resources elsewhere. So take the feed hole plug out. I've got my syrup here. I'll dribble a little bit of syrup in there so they know it's there, and that's it. That is grafting for the
Will the
day.
syrup not flood this place up?
It draws a vacuum into the jar, and it forms a droplet on the bottom that the bees come up and lick. So if there's a leak, this has to be airtight. If there's a leak, then yeah, it'll drip. But otherwise it stays there. Just like the water bottle in the office.
How long will this last? This feeding?
I don't know, they could take that down in a couple days.
Okay. Will you replace with another one, or will this be enough?
I likely will.
Okay.
Until, as long as they're feeding bees,
Yeah.
then I'll keep syrup on there. Okay, I had fun. Did everybody have fun?
Sure we did.
Very
I'm
fun.
glad. So that's I called it a pop-up grafting workshop. Not much of a workshop, but a nice small crowd, which is great for, everybody getting a chance and asking a lot of questions and whatnot. So I had a lot of fun doing it. So I appreciate you coming.
Thank you so much for
I
the
appreciate the
opportunity.
support.
Thank you.
It's Sunday, May 25, 2025. But I've also got the cell builder here. Now, it hasn't certainly been 24 hours since we grafted, but curiosity, right, being what it is, I'm going to have a look. And you can check this out real time with me. I haven't seen what's in there, so hopefully we get a few takes. I didn't bring a hive tool over, so hopefully I can do this without a hive tool. Oh, lots of bees on the syrup. That's a good sign. Lots of bees on the cover. Lots and lots of bees, period. That's what you need. They're consuming this patty nicely. It's also good to see. People say, oh, they're eating it, so they must need it. I don't think that's true at all. They're eating it because it's full of sugar. They're bees. That's what they do. Okay. Moment of truth. There's bees hanging off almost every cell. I see some comb being built already. 1, 2, 3. It's hard to tell. It's early. I certainly have one there, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, probably 20 here. I'll try to show you what I'm looking at. You see this one didn't take. There's no bees on it, first of all. They didn't build anything. But the ones that took, they're building some comb here, or some building out the cell. Anyway, so let's see how Lexi and Sean did. Lexi did the first 10 here. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's one. And then there's 2, 3, 4, 5. So Lexi's got 5. Good job. And Sean might have been picking the larva too big or something. He didn't get any. So we'll have to try again, Sean. There's giving up is not an option. So we will give this another go. Well, I'm very happy with that. I was talking to my mentors last night, and one fellow who raises a lot of queens, I asked him when can I regraft into this? And he said 4 days. So that'd be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday I can graft into here again, just to keep this builder building, keep the builder doing what it does. Well, that's exciting. It looks like Lexi's got more than enough queens for the 2 colonies that she's planning to make up. She's got a friend who I've also been mentoring, so maybe she can share those extra queens with her friend. That's up to her. Those are her queens as far as I'm concerned. She can do what she wants with those. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching.